Well, thank you very much for this nice introduction. And it's wonderful to be here today with all of you. And I want to be here today and talk to you all because I know of the great work that all of you are doing on a subnational level in order to move the world towards a clean and green energy future. And I also know that the great power that subnational governments have. But I also know the tremendous passion that all of you have in order to get the job done. All of us here know that building smart and healthy cities is the challenge of our time. We also know that this is not the movie world, which is the other world that I come from. Here we don't have special effects or visual effects. We don't have no script writers that write a better ending. This is the real world. The World Health Organization says, for instance, that air pollution causes 7 million premature deaths every year. And we are dumping 40 billion tons of carbon emissions into our atmosphere every year. But we keep burning coal and oil, and we keep polluting the world because there's still some people that think this is the only solution to keep our economies growing and to accommodate for expanding populations. And I'm here today to say that it is absolutely bogus, it's the wrong way to go, and that there's a better way. And what I'm talking about is not fantasy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not idealistic naivety. What I'm talking about is the work that is already being done all over the world from the bottom up at the local and regional level. The leaders of the world are gathered here in Paris, and the spotlight is on them. And everyone is wondering, will there be an agreement? Will there be a Kyoto 2? And the spotlight is also, of course, on Secretary Ban Ki-moon and President Hollande and Foreign Minister Fabius and all their extraordinary work that they've been doing in order to secure an international agreement. I believe in a top-down approach. I think it's incredibly important, and I'm here to support it any way I can. But I also want to bring some of that spotlight to the success stories in the cities and states, towns and provinces. When I see headlines that say government is broken and the Paris talks are haunted by the ghosts of Copenhagen, I can see how someone might feel a little bit pessimistic about the environmental future. But those of us who work at the local and regional level know that the cynical headlines don't tell the whole story. Many cities and states are thriving and are leading the march towards a smart and clean energy future. Just look at California, of all the wonderful work that we have done in our state. From the tailpipe emissions reductions, to the million solar roofs, to our renewable portfolio standard, we are now at 40% of renewables, to building the biggest solar plants in the world, to our historic climate change law, AB 32, where we made a commitment to reducing our greenhouse gases by 25% by the year 2020 and 85% by the year 2050. And we haven't stopped moving forward yet. When we passed those laws, some experts thought that we were crazy. They said that it was Washington's job, that it was the federal government's job, that the states had no business in doing any of that. And we said, to hell with that. I had seen the extraordinary impacts of our changing climate. 1 out of 7 kids in the Central Valley in California, which is the breadbasket of the world, have required to use inhalers to breathe. The wildlife season has now gone all the way around, all year round. And our inner city neighborhoods with particulate matter so thick that it turns cars and lungs black. Now this might be a global problem, but it's one with local symptoms. And we in California have proven that you can take on a global problem with local solutions. Governor Jerry Brown, the current governor of California, has continued our relentless march. And along the way, we have proven one of the most important lessons. We have proven that the environment is not a political issue, but it is a people's issue. I'm a Republican. He's a Democrat. The governor before me was a Democrat, the governor before then was a Republican, but we always kept marching in the same direction, which is to protect our environment. And along the way, of course, we have learned two very important other lessons. First, that protecting the environment is not only good for the environment, but it is also very good for the economy. As California's laws have taken effect, our clean, smart economy has been booming. We attract more than half of all of the green tech venture capital in the United States to California, even though California only represents 10% of the United States. We are building the biggest solar plants in the world. As a matter of fact, for the first time ever, the solar industry is producing more jobs and creating more jobs than the oil, gas, and coal industry combined. And it isn't only the green economy that is doing well, our economy as a whole is thriving. We in California lead the nation in manufacturing, in high-tech, biotech, green tech, agriculture, entertainment, tourism, and the list goes on and on. Even though we were going green, and even though everyone said 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that our economy will go right into the toilet, the opposite has happened. We have outperformed the United States economy. While the United States GDP grew 2.8%, we in California grew 3.5%. Now here's the second lesson that we've proven in California, that subnational governments have tremendous power. We are the perfect laboratories of reform for the larger, slower national governments. Cities, states, and provinces provide a launching pad for the most innovative green energy policies. When we succeed, we provide a blueprint for the rest of the world. For instance, when we passed our tailpipe emissions law in California, at first everyone fought us. Everyone said that it was a disaster. The car companies sued us immediately, all of them, including Volkswagen, that's right. And even, interesting enough, the federal government sided with them. And the federal government tried to stop us from regulating our own air, claiming that greenhouse gases are another pollutant. So, we of course did not take this lying down. We sued the federal government. We took them to court, and we took it all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. And the Supreme Court decided that yes, greenhouse gases were a pollutant. Well, duh, how much brain power does that take to figure that one out, right? They thought that they could stop us because we are just a state. But no one could stop us. As a matter of fact, the opposite has happened. Many other states, as a matter of fact, 14 other states joined us. And they passed tailpipe emissions rules modeled on California standards. And then, because it became so popular, our California law, that in May of 2009, the Obama administration made it a federal law and followed California's lead. That just shows you the power of subnational governments. So if you're an optimist like I am, you can embrace the power of subnational governments to light the way forward and identify the best policies. In fact, a new report my organization, the R20, the Region of Climate Action, has commissioned with Yale University. It shows that if the United States simply adopts California policy, the country would exceed our emission goals by more than 50%. And we could close 75% of our coal-fired power plants, which is an equivalent of taking 180 million cars off the road. But it is not just California. There's many other subnational governments that are doing a great job. The report identifies 8 other regions around the world who have done great work that national governments can use as a blueprint. But if you happen to be a pessimist and you don't expect any agreement here, no Kyoto 2 or anything else, then of course subnational governments, the cities, states, and provinces are the best insurance policy, because local policies can control 70% of emissions. 70%. Even if the national governments freeze and nothing gets done, we have the power to create a sustainable and healthy energy future. Remember that the best action has always started at the grassroots level. If you look at the greatest movements in the world in the history, from the movement to end apartheid in South Africa, to our suffrage movement that gave women the right to vote in America, to the Indian independence movement, they all started not in the halls of power, not with national governments, not in any capitals, but with ordinary folks on a grassroots level. They start at the grassroots level with people, and every great movement starts that way from the bottom up, and our movement, the environmental movement, is no different. It is our time, ladies and gentlemen. It is our moment to pick up the torch of a clean energy future in the cities, in the states, and in the provinces, and march forward relentlessly like a Terminator. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will not give up, because we must be defined by our movement and by our action, not by our hesitation. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you.